there's a lot of positive pressure,
Right.
as far as like you gotta get results. So that's more the adrenaline I feel, as far as like I want to do well, but I also have to do well. That's what gets me through races. And then for firefighting, it's literally like I want to make sure I don't die.
Jayson Uribe, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I'm super excited to have you on.
Thanks for having me. It's an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, before we started the podcast, I was kind of saying, I have a lot of friends today who don't do a lot of things, right? They don't work on their basement, they don't improve their house, they don't fix their own cars, and I get that. It's not everybody's skill. I'm not mechanically inclined. I get all that. And truth be told, I was hardcore into working out before I was married. Now that I'm married, I'm just a skinny little Asian dude, right? I'm one of those guys who loses like 8 pounds of muscle like within a week. Okay. And I've said this before. I was in Thailand for 3 weeks and I went to build houses.
Hmm.
And in that 3 week, I literally lost 8 pounds. So that's crazy. Anyways, my point is that we have the capability and the capacity to work our butt off and to do a lot if you put your mind to it.
Oh yeah, I think it's all a matter of perspective, as far as what do you want to do? What's something that you're passionate about? And for me, it's been multiple things, and it's kind of peaked up here and there for different topics and whatever it might be today, whether it's firefighting or tomorrow it's racing or whatever the day calls for. Really, it's just trying to make sure I make the most of every second if I can, and yeah, just living life really.
No, that is very awesome. Now, obviously, every kid, boy or girl, at one time has said they wanted to be a firefighter, right?
Oh
What made the jump for you? When did you decide to get serious and do it?
Well, like you were saying, growing up, I always wanted to be a firefighter, and I actually, literally on my fridge in my kitchen, I have this painting that I did when I was like 6 years old of me being a firefighter. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah. So anyway, in my area in the Napa County, we had a couple big fires in 2017,
Right.
and that was right before I turned 18, right after I turned 18. So I was around like the perfect. I don't want to say the perfect time, but I was finally old enough to actually like pursue that career, and something clicked, and I said, okay, well, let's do it, and joined up in the Napa Valley Fire Academy, and here we are now.
My excuse is because I'm red green colorblind. I can't be a police officer. I can't be a firefighter, right? Because you can't be red green colorblind to have those careers. So that's my excuse.
That's rough. I'm sorry.
No, no, don't be. It's fine. It's something I lived with. I didn't find out I was colorblind until I was 23, by the way.
Oh,
I've always thought there was something wrong with me because I would tell like ex-girlfriends, I go, "Oh my God, look at that blue car, it's so nice." And she's like, "What are you talking about? That's green." I'm like, "Oh, okay, never mind." And so,
that sucks. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, again, it's fine. So you were serious about it, and then you obviously pursued. Uh, is it is it easy to get into, or is there a lot of dedication and training ahead of time? Because it's not an easy job. It's a strenuous job.
I think there's you could say it's easy in some aspects, and then there's other sides that are a bit more involved, and it just depends on how serious you are, really. I mean, I know a lot of people actually from my fire academy, my graduating class, and there's probably only roughly 5 people who have actually like stuck with it and are legit firefighters now. I don't want to say legit firefighters, but like they chose to pursue that as a career.
Right.
We had a graduating class of like 33, and life gets in the way. People get hurt, married, kids, the whole deal. Obviously life happens. And I think it's like we were talking about earlier, it's just a matter of priorities and if it's something that you really want to do. But yeah, I mean, it's getting into the academy is fairly easy. I mean, you just go to your local fire station and say, what do I have to do? So that part's easy. And then the actual academy itself is, for me, it was a 7-month program, 3 times a week. And it was I worked full time and did it, so it wasn't anything like I had to devote a 7-month block of my life just to that. I mean, yeah, it was a lot of long days, but again, it was all worth it.
Right. Now, are you a full-time firefighter? Are you a volunteer? How does that work?
So I am a volunteer firefighter. I have my normal jobs, the stuff I do day to day, and then I have my pager. So when this thing goes off, I go to my fire station and do whatever the task is.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, because I've always wondered what it's like to live at the fire station. What is a schedule of that like? Do you know?
So when we've actually had quite a few major fires in Northern California this year, and I was on all three of them.
Yeah.
So when we're full, I don't want to say like full-time firefighting, but for those large fires, volunteers do end up becoming more or less full-time. We're on the fire line from start to finish, and that's our life. So fire station life, I don't know, it gets kind of crazy sometimes. I think it's just having a Oh man, just having a lot of people who are very, I don't want to say rough, but just tired, and then like all emotional blocks and all those like barriers of things that you shouldn't say, like just go out the window. And you're just sitting there and you find yourself in some really weird discussions. But no, it's cool. And usually as far as like an hour schedule, like the glass fire that we had was literally at my front door. Like the fire got within about half a mile of my house.
Wow.
And it totally burned all around our fire station, the whole deal. It was pretty rough. But the first 2 days of that, we were on nonstop. So that was 48 hours just going, 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 going. And then after that, everybody just crashed and we all passed out for like 12 hours. And then it was kind of off and on from there. But that's how most big fires go, as far as like the first 48 to 72 hours are just like, boom, like you're working, you're getting it done. And then you have a small break and then you kind of, back and forth from there.
It feels like and these big fires have been happening a lot more frequently within the last, I would say, 3 to 5 years. I mean, I think that's when I first started hearing about them. You've always had forest fires in NorCal and Southern California, but it's become a prominent, a big thing. Why is that, do you think? Or do you guys know?
I think a lot of it is honestly fuel mitigation. So times change. I don't want to get super involved in like political reasons and stuff like that.
Okay.
But as far as it gets to where people don't like to see forests go away, and I totally understand that. Nobody likes to see this huge like 100-foot wide cut of like literally nothing but just like dirt
Right.
going all the way through a forest. And I totally get that. But those breaks are what save communities from these fires. And
Mm.
the last, I don't know, 10 to 15 years, we haven't really been allowed to do that. So when a fire starts, instead of it being more contained to a smaller area, it spreads pretty much free range wherever it wants to go. And that's where it makes our jobs a bit more difficult.
The conspiracy theorist in me goes, well, there's more cars on the road, we're emitting more carbon dioxide, and
Mhm.
CO2 is what trees thrive on. So now the trees are going to go faster, bigger, sooner, and then when there is a fire, now there's more fuel, right? So
Oh yeah.
that's my
Oh yeah.
conspiracy theory. So drive an electric car.
No, it's funny. Actually, every time there's ever a report or anything, like if for some reason a firefighter gets pulled aside while he's working and like an interviewer goes up, they're the first things always like climate change. Like, what's your opinion on climate change? Is this affecting the fire? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And again, I totally get where they're coming from. And it's a really hard question to answer because legally we're not allowed to give a yes or no. But you just try to like walk around this entire question forever. It's kind of stressful, honestly.
No, I hear you. So is this something you see yourself doing for longer term? I mean, you obviously don't have a you're young enough not to need a career goal. You've accomplished a lot, you're doing a lot, and there's a lot more you can do. So it's not something you're like, I'm going to retire doing this. Um, but is this something you'd want to do 10 years down the road?
Oh yeah, I'd love to be full time fire. That's honestly like a life goal of mine is to get to that point. Right now, I'm volunteer because I have a couple other things going on in my life, and the biggest thing is I'm trying to finish up my schooling still.
Okay.
Um, Granted, my schooling is pretty different from I would say the norm, but it still does require my time, and I don't want to short that. I'm I'm trying my best with that, so I don't want to half-ass something.
What are you studying?
Electrical. So I actually work as an electrician. That's like my day job. That's my 9 to 5. And my company actually pays for me to go to school. So for me, it's a big deal to not only show to my company that I'm trying, but
Yep.
just for myself. I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
I like being good at things, and that's why I'm trying to be good at school.
I have an extreme healthy respect for electricity, and I'll tell you why. And I remember this till the day I died. And I was 3 years old, by the way, so I was very, very young. Living in Hong Kong, as you know, Hong Kong is 240, right? 240 volt. It's not 110 or
Mhm.
220, whatever. Anyways, uh, metal scissors right
Ooh.
into the socket, and and the kicker is to this day I can see myself almost as a third person with the
Mhm.
pair of scissors walking up to the socket and putting it in. Like I remember that vividly.
Oh
I don't remember what happened after, except there was a lot of crying. But talking to my aunt who was there, she said, "Yeah, you flew back like 10 feet."
yeah. Oh, it'll get you. Oh yeah, it'll get you.
Yeah. So do you have any stories like that you're like, duh, I'm never gonna do that again?
Oh man. So I have quite a few of those. Kind of hard to find one. I think the most memorable one is so in America we have single phase and three phase, which without getting super complicated, means that one separate kind of electricity is mostly just for homes, like just for a normal house, for a normal like single family dwelling. And then the other one is more for like industrial type stuff, like big factories with huge motors and stuff going on. Um, so, granted, the one for the industrial side of stuff has a higher voltage than the one for homes and like a normal family. And I was working, it was like one of the first years that I was actually full time, and I didn't really know what the difference was. And I went to plug in just a battery charger for like a Milwaukee battery for my power tools. And the second I plugged it in, it made a really loud noise and literally exploded in my face. Just shrapnel everywhere. And the battery went flying across the room. And I was like, holy shit. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm assuming the tool did not survive, or at least the battery didn't survive.
No, 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 no. It was melted and it was all bad.
Wow. Now, are you a Milwaukee tool kind of guy? And the reason why I'm asking is, I've got some crappy drills or whatever, power drills. I'm not even gonna name the brand; they're so bad. And the long story short is, I literally went in to put in a screw just the other day, and I'm like, oh, I pulled this bad boy out, and I was putting a screw, and literally the first screw went. Zzz, zzz. I'm like, what
Oh,
the hell? It wasn't the battery; it was just the motor had died. So
yep,
now I'm in that. Okay, maybe I should get something decent, right?
yep.
And everybody, it's like anything else. It's like motorcycles, right? Everybody's in the DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita, Ridge, whatever. So are you a Milwaukee guy through and through?
I I can't say I'm like diehard Milwaukee. It's kind of like a sports team or anything. I'm not like diehard 49ers, but I do appreciate them. Same with DeWalt and Milwaukee. Really, I think they both are solid brands. I like Milwaukee because they're a bit cheaper,
Mm.
and it's really easy to find not only replacement parts but like batteries, tool bits, like whatever you need. They make so much stuff, and it's fairly well priced. So for me, it's kind of my go-to.
Because I'm going to do the sacrilegious thing by buying Milwaukee tools and putting a DeWalt drill bit on there. And
Sometimes you gotta.
I'm not even a handyman. I just don't care what you think about my stupid choices. I don't care. As long as I can put that screw in, I'm happy as a pappy, right? So
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I literally use those tools every day, and I have all like, it's all Milwaukee and all Hilti, and then DeWalt drill bits, and then rigid like sockets. It's like it's all like just
mishmash, like it just
yeah,
get the job done, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, here, yeah. I'm wearing a Honda shirt because you ride for Honda. Um, I realized in my old age that I'm not really mated or married to one brand. That being said, in my brief, motorcycle history or the amount of bikes I've had, which isn't very many, I've only had Hondas.
Good choice.
Now, and then to tell you the truth is I haven't really been following the latest, CBRs in the last, I would say 10 years even. Okay.
Mm.
And when I went to look for a new CBR 1000 RR with the SP, I'm like, wow, I can't believe how much that thing cost. Okay. I've seen you had a chance to ride one.
Yep.
How awesome is it compared to your super bike?
It's really cool. I mean, coming off of my super bike, which is a full race bike, and then hopping onto the, stock 1000 RRSP, as far as horsepower, yeah, it was a little bit different, but as far as actually the feeling of the bike was really good. And I'm not sure if you've seen, but the new SP has the aerodynamic winglets that are like built into the bodywork. Those make a big difference at high speeds. Big difference. I really wish I could put those on my race bike. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, they're pretty neat.
Okay. It's still pretty bloody expensive though, to be honest.
$28,000.
Yeah, I'm like, I could get a Civic for that price.
Yeah,
It
that's the
feels like.
bummer. It's very like racing oriented. I think the
Yeah.
market for that bike is probably about that big, which
Yeah.
is a bummer. But I mean, that's what they built it for, is racing. So
Now, and I'm sure you don't have any spare time, but when you do have a moment, do you still have a street bike?
I do. I have a Grom, which is
Yeah.
like a little 125. Yeah, and I honestly am so scared to ride on the streets. It's not even funny. I have friends that hit me up all the time. They're like, "Oh, let's go for a ride. Let's go to like, I don't know, Lake Tahoe on our bikes." I'm like, "Oh, I'm just gonna chill in my Grom." It's like around town. I get really scared going on freeways and stuff. So
Yeah, you know what? Even the YouTube Grom videos of like having like 500 guys all riding together, I'm like, it's not really for me.
no.
You know, I'm done the group rides where you're on the highway and somebody reaches over and turns off your bike or squeezes their handbrake and you go, oh, I think I'm good. I think I'm too old for that kind of crap. But um, yeah, no, I think the Grom 125, fun bike, really really fun bike, just to dink around,
Yeah.
right? Now, have you tried an electric bike?
I briefly, so I've ridden the oh man, the Osset Trials bike, and then I rode the Zero. I don't want to say like road race bike, but the Zero street bike.
Hmm.
And they're pretty cool. I think it's a great idea. I think if I was able to understand more how it worked, I would maybe appreciate them more. But as far as just like from a totally outside perspective, I like them. It's just I wish there was more.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of electric bikes. I haven't ridden many,
Mhm.
but that's the type of rider I am. I'm a very casual guy. I'm not into the 5 hours out, you know, in the middle of nowhere for the sake of riding. That's not for me. And because I don't race, I'm a super squid, right? In the sense that I like going quick, so I'll do it on the highway, right? Like an idiot. And then that satisfies me, right? Like half an hour, downtown, back up, I'm good.
There you
Downtown, grab a coffee, come back up or a beer, and I'm good. So for me, I think the electric bike experience is good because I don't need to worry about charging. I just want to go to where I want to go,
Mhm.
and just come back home and call it a night, right? So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I think the biggest problem is the charging for electric bikes because it does take a long time, and I don't want to sit there for an hour.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And I don't know about the East Coast, but at least in California, they're having to create this new law for electric bikes where they have to make some kind of sound so people can see them coming or hear them coming. So it's like some bikes have this ridiculous car alarm that's just always going off, or other bikes have this really weird audible, like quack, almost like a duck, like a quacking, just really weird noises that people come up with.
Has that law been is in effect, right? Like
In
it's
San Francisco.
oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not I mean, I have an electric car,
Mhm.
okay? And when I first owned it, the first thing I did was turn off the sound when I was
Mhm.
reversing, and then I realized how stupid that was. But I can't stand anything that makes like noise for the sake of making noise. I
Yeah.
get it, it's a safety issue. And then when I do back out of a parking spot, nobody can tell that I'm doing that,
Mhm.
right? So I get it. I'm doing it for my fellow mankind. But yeah, I don't love it. Like I'd rather just be dead silent. It is
I
nice.
I feel it just sneaking on through. That's cool.
It's good. It's pretty good. Except again, you scare the crap out of old people, right? So not good. Not good. Pre-COVID, they were dying of heart attacks from my car. Post.
Oh man.
So, you're obviously you like being an electrician. Is it a
Yeah.
fun thing?
Oh yeah. I'm playing with lightning. Literally, I'm trying to create a path from point A to point B that lightning can travel. And
Mm.
I find that really cool. I think anybody that enjoys puzzles or enjoy almost like connect the dots, then you would like being an electrician. That's pretty much all that we do is just a big game of connect the dots.
Yeah, I really respect and like the fact that you're doing a trade, by the way. Like I've heard many examples and I've seen some from friends, who are Americans and they get suckered into going to school for, I'm sorry to say, but like a no pay job, right? Like you come up with like a, I don't know. I don't want to call anybody out, but you come up with you know what I'm talking about. You come up with the degree, and at the end of the day, you're not going to do anything with that degree, and yet you're now 100 grand in debt,
Yep.
right?
Oh,
So I've always, but I'm not mechanically inclined, bro. Like if I was, I'd be like, oh, I'd be like, so I'd rather be a plumber just for that.
yeah, that's cool. I mean, plumbers actually get paid the most out of any trade. So,
Really?
oh yeah, they get paid a lot of money.
Damn. See, when I get fired from my job, I'm just gonna, and I have no problem. Like all my guy friends, all my nerdy guy friends are all like in tech, right? They're all software developers and whatever, and they're like, and they make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna touch dirty toilets all day." I go, I couldn't care less. I'd probably end up making more than you, so whatever, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, same thing like you just said. I have a lot of friends I used to go to high school with, and even when I was in like a quote unquote normal college for a little bit, that's that's what 99% of people do as far as like, oh, you go to college to have a good time, not necessarily to, I don't want to say create a career, but it's hard for me to watch a lot of people that I know grow up and just spend a lot of money for fun, nothing else really but fun, and then they get out of college and then they're stuck making $16 an hour and not being able to afford rent, and yeah, it's rough to watch.
Yeah, totally. I think there needs to be a mindset to say, guys, it's okay not to go through the regular 4 year, 5 year program, whatever it is, and just work on a life passion, right? I think that makes more sense.
No, for sure. And I don't want to bash on the people that do. I mean, everybody has their own path, and there definitely are people that, work their ass off and they get what they want, and that's awesome. Good for them. I don't think there is one set way that you have to live a life. It's up to you and what you want to do.
I agree. Yeah, and I think there's so many ways still to make money. It's really about what you're willing to do to like legitimately to do it, right? Like I've not a I don't know, I actually don't know this person, but it's a story that I retell all the time to a lot of my friends and their kids. And I said, there's a guy that I can't, it's somebody's like it's like a friend of a friend for sure. It's not like like a story, but a friend of a friend was never really into university. He graduated, did nothing with his life, went traveling, blah blah blah. And long story short is one day he came back and he didn't have a plan. But a friend of his says, "Hey, you know what? I need help closing my cottage. Do you want to give me a hand? And I'll pay you whatever your time." Right? He did that, and then he did that for another friend, and he said, "Oh, well, I know how to like close and open whatever cottages. Let me do that for you, right?" And putting covers over furniture, the whole 9 yard, right? And now he's a millionaire, and that's all he does. And he's got a company that goes and cleans up the cottages for people if they don't want to do it.
Mhm.
So really, it's about that passion of look, because once you find what you want to do and you do it the best to your ability, you're going to be fine in life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I think a lot of it is that's something that I try to always look for is the low lying fruit, things that might seem too obvious for someone to even pursue or too easy, or like there's a lot of things out there that people overlook that, like you were saying, could be a really good business idea and they could make you a lot of money, or they could be a big waste of time. I mean, there's really only one way to find out is to try. So that's honestly why I decided to pursue racing. I mean, that was my passion when I was growing up. It still is my passion.
Yep.
And the percentage of that working out in your favor and actually making money from it is less than 1%, but there's still 1% out there, so might as well go for it.
Yeah, I like that mentality. It's like you can say, well, hardly anybody's making money, hardly anybody's successful, but is there someone out there who's successful? Yes or
Mhm.
no? If it's yes, why can't it be me?
Exactly.
Right? So let me ask you this then. How much of it do you attribute your success to something God-given talent? Is it nurtured by your parents? Because I read that your mom, moved to the UK.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to say for you, but that's what it sounded like.
No, yeah, I'm super thankful for the support of my entire family. I mean, granted, it was my mother that was over there from like the end of 2012 into early 20 or late 2015. It was pretty much her and I over in Europe making it happen. And I'm super thankful for all of her time and all of my entire family's dedication to my sport, and definitely couldn't do it without, the proper background. And then 2016 and through now, I do my own thing. But yeah, like you were saying, you need a lot of help, especially in the motorsports industry and most things in general. You can't do it alone.
Mhm.
There's a lot that you can do on your own. There's a lot that you can achieve, but if you really want to pursue a career and I don't want to say be successful, but really make it happen, you gotta have help. You gotta have support from someone somewhere that believes in you. It says, okay, well, let's do it. Like, let's see what happens. And I attribute a lot of my career and a lot of my success to that and to that mentality, really. I mean, there's things that like I would have never been able to heal from my injuries. You know, I can't do that alone. I need somebody to drive me to the hospital and someone drive me back. I need to, like when I did my elbow last year, I was pretty much down and out for about a month and a half.
Wow.
Just like couldn't do anything with my arm. So trying to find different things to do to make money, even like I worked at my local grocery store, like having people that understand your situation that you're in and being able to work around it is definitely key.
Yeah. Now you've raced in a bunch of series and all over the world, it seems like. Um, what are some of your what is your favorite organization to race for? Or is there one? Or they're all pretty much the same in the end?
I think it really depends on what you're looking for. I think all around, my favorite place to race a motorcycle was England in the British Superbike Championship, and that not only for the actual like quality of the racing, but just the support from the entire country and how everybody was so psyched about motorcycle racing. And I mean, we'd go to a race and we'd get 80,000 people to show up and just be like super psyched, and it was just this massive party for everybody there, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was cool being 14, 15 years old, walking into a crowd of 30,000 people and just having everybody around there like photos, autographs, videos, cameras everywhere. That was a cool experience and definitely something I'm thankful for. And I wish we had that kind of support, not only in America, but other places in general, like Spain, France. I wish people were that enthusiastic about motorcycle racing, but we'll get there at some point.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't really follow MotoGP or any other racing series that closely. I started to in the last couple of years, but before then there was a gap of like 8 years where I just didn't follow racing. I had other stuff to do.
Yeah.
But I've always ranked BSB like literally just half a step below like World Superbike. Like I'd always say, okay, MotoGP for sure. I didn't really care for Moto2, Moto3, but MotoGP for sure. Then it was, World Superbike, and then it was like slightly below that was BSB above everything else.
Mhm.
And to me, I think it's amazing that you're able to have that experience.
No, yeah, I'm super thankful. I definitely learned a lot, and yeah, I made a lot of friends that I still, I'm in contact with to this day. And sometimes I have people over in America. Sometimes I go over there to hang out. So it was a good experience. I definitely look back on those times, and I'm thankful.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, I've asked this question, with other guests before. Why isn't motorcycle racing as popular as can be in the States, especially in the States? You have the population, by the way. It's not
Mhm.
like in Canada where, we've got like maybe, I don't know, 30 million people. I don't even know what it is, and I'm from Canada, but like maybe 30 million people. And, do you know about our Canadian Superbike racing?
I know the champion. I know the guy that won it. I know him. He's a good friend of mine, but I
Okay.
don't know a whole lot about the actual series.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a lot of races. I think there's only 6 races a year,
Mhm.
and I think 3 of those races are on the same track. So it's not a lot of variety,
Yeah.
right? And so you can understand why a smaller population, there's
Yeah.
less support. But why is that not happening in the States?
I think it doesn't help that the pure size of the US is so big. Like California to New York is what, 3,500 miles? It's a long way. It's a 3.5 day drive. So for someone in New York to pay attention to a race that's happening in California, even if they don't physically go, just a time change is a chore. I mean, you have to plan it out and you have to be like, okay, I'm going to be at this place at this time to watch this race that happened 3 hours ago.
Right.
So it's there's a lot more involved as far as just the logistics of getting and watching a race on TV. And then for the teams and for the riders, yeah, like you said, there's plenty of people, there's plenty of motorcycle enthusiasts in the USA. It's just so hard to target that one guy in New Orleans again when I'm in California. The size kind of kills it.
Mm.
And we're getting better TV coverage. Back in like 2000, from 2000 to about 2008, were like the glory days of motorcycle racing in the US.
Yep.
And that's when we had really good TV. You know, we had legit primetime coverage and we had all the media at the races and big support from like Camel cigarettes and Modelo and, you know, like big companies that were involved. And granted, it is kind of our own fault. The governing bodies for motorcycle racing actually outlawed the tobacco and alcohol sponsorships. That kind of killed racing. Not going to lie, it was unfortunate, but I totally understand why. And then we lost our legit TV coverage, and we're getting better and better, but still, it's going to take some time to get back to where it was.
Yeah. I'd add an event to this, and I'm sure you've thought of this in the past. It's like we really need like a regional, kind of like East versus West.
Yeah.
You'd have two independent series happening, and then the last 4 or 5 races is like the cream of the crop, racing against the American Championship or something. I think that actually has some legs, and then that will allow you to put a kind of route for your own team in your time zone, right? Or your own group of
Oh,
guys in your time zone.
no, for sure. We're actually thinking about making that happen, not next year, but the following year. That's what we're trying to have, this East and West, and then the last race, merge everything together and see who's the best.
Yeah. Because and to be fair, I actually now I don't follow NASCAR either, but having been described to me the NASCAR model, I think that also makes a lot of sense where you just have 30 normal races and then you have 10 races between the top 20 guys or whatever at the last. Also, that would make it kind of exciting as well.
Oh, I agree. I agree. It's definitely a good idea.
Yeah. So you race, you're an electrician or apprentice, right? You're a volunteer firefighter. And then you're a model, which everybody's now gonna like F this guy, F this dude, and hangs and just shuts
uh,
off the podcast, right?
oh, honestly, I try to forget about that sometimes.
I can't help it, man. It's on your Instagram. I'm not I'm
Yeah.
not trying to take up the past, bro.
No. It's on there because I have to have it on there. But no, that's all for fun. That's purely like if I have a free weekend and there's a gig available, I'll go and I'll make some extra cash on the side. I don't want to say I see it as a career path. It's like I said, it's just a like a time filler, a gap filler, I guess you could say. It's I don't like to be bored, so I'm always trying to do something, and that's usually if I have a free weekend, that's usually what I do.
No, that's cool. No, I'm not hating on that at all. If I was good looking, I'd do it anyway. I wouldn't care.
Yeah, I
um,
think it's nice. I like your hair. It's
oh,
very cool.
thanks. It's a little long. I think it does need a cut, but anyway. Um, you know what I think if I had to tell my college self what the move was to be an extra on a movie set.
Hmm.
You get paid the
Yeah.
whole time you're sitting there.
Hmm.
You're on set for maybe like 2 hours out of the 8.
Hmm.
So you bring your books, you can go and study, you can do everything, and then when they're like, okay, you go be an extra, and you just walk up there, you spend the 2 hours doing dink all, and then you're done, right? And then you can go back to studying. I think
Yeah.
that's actually the move. So to be a part-time model when everything aligns and you have a gig, why not?
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure. Oh,
Um, yeah. So think about bikes in general. Have you always raced for Honda?
uh, pretty much. Yes. It definitely was not planned out that way. it just happened to be that 99% of the motorcycles I've ridden in my lifetime have been Hondas. And when I started getting when I really started like my professional career, again, I was on a Honda, and that's kind of what started planted the seed with that specific brand. And then 3 years ago, I actually rode for the official Honda team in the American Championship, and that's where I really got close with all the big VPs over there. And then the last 2 years, I've been riding for them,
Mm.
and that's been a good experience. I've learned a lot. We'll see what happens next year, but yeah, I hope to stick with Honda if we can, and yeah, we can continue that relationship. They're good people.
Yeah, I think back to when I was really into bikes, and one time, doing track days, and I thought I was the man. I thought I was, the boss, and then only to realize that my first track day, I didn't knee down once. Like I might have scraped the peg like I think twice, and one time I might have been scraping the peg because I had dropped the bike, but don't tell anybody that, right? When I was pushing it through inspection, okay. So that was like so I officially scraped my peg twice on that track day. Um,
No.
no, my point is, it feels like now like everybody can now get their elbow down, and you've got elbow sliders. When
Mm.
did that become? I don't want to say it's easy because it obviously takes skill, but when did it become a thing where like literally any racer can now elbow down? Is it the bike? Is it the height? What is it?
I think a lot of it is the bikes are made a little bit more aggressive, so the riding stance is a lot higher up on the motorcycle, as where like bikes from the late '90s, early 2000s, you sat in the bike, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like you
yeah,
were way further into the actual motorcycle frame, and now you're sitting way on top. Like what we were talking about earlier, the new Honda, the new CBR, you literally like you sit on the bike and you're like riding a roller coaster. You're almost looking straight down because it's so pitched up like this on its nose. And then the other thing is the tires. Tire technology has come so far. Even from when I started, I test ride for Pirelli, and
mm,
when we started developing the tires that we're working on now in 2015, it was honestly scary. Like getting the bike leaned over that far to get your elbow on the ground was scary. You couldn't, yeah, you could get your elbow on the ground, but you couldn't do anything. Like you were there, and if you got on the gas, you'd crash. If you got on the brakes, you'd crash. Like you're just there and you can't do anything.
right.
Nowadays, it's like you can have your elbow down and get the bike to power slide and just like shoot out of a corner, where 20 years ago there's no way you could ever dream of that. So it's technology is advancing, people are adapting to different riding styles and how you have to ride different bikes in different ways, and yeah, it's just kind of become more the norm to stick your elbow out there and see if you can get on the ground, and go from there.
Yeah. When was the first time you got an elbow down, and do you still remember that time, or even your knee down? Because
Oh,
everybody remembers the first time they knee down, right?
I remember the first time I got my elbow down very, very vividly, and I did not do it on purpose. I was actually I was looking at photos. I was 12 years old, and I was riding a buddy's bike. And I was looking at photos in like a public I don't really know, like a public viewing area, I guess. There's like 30 screens, and then like everybody just comes and you look at your photos. And I was looking at mine going through a corner, and I was like, man, I want to get my elbow down so bad. And this guy next to me literally leaned over and he said, oh, just change your hand position. And so literally all I did was change my hand position from holding the handlebar like with all four fingers to just moving it over, like holding a screwdriver and just kind of using these two fingers to hold on. And literally the next session, I just tried it and it went swoop right off the ground. And I was like, whoa. And then, yeah, after that, it's always been like now I ride like I don't really ride with both hands on the handlebars like that. I ride kind of, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah, ever since then, it's just stuck.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. I gotta dig out my pants. I think they're like now virgin sliders. It's like so embarrassing, right? Like the giant chicken strip on my bike. I didn't actually ride once this summer with COVID and everything else. I'm like, I'm not going to work.
Yeah.
I don't do pleasure rides with groups of guys anymore, right? And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it at my parents' house this year and just let it rot. That's the one cool thing about Honda bikes, and I'm not just advertising for Honda, but like literally, my bike has always started every year. I've never had it once where I'm like, okay, is it gonna start this year? And it literally always cranks up. If it doesn't crank on the first, you know, like if it doesn't catch on the first crank, it always does it by the second time you do it. So
Oh yeah.
it's pretty amazing, and it's an old ass bike, so. And that's part of the reason why I'm a Honda fan, right? I mean, they're super reliable in that regard. Yeah.
The power.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Um, so you're you're uh you're now, are you active? I mean, you just finished races in Buttonwillow, right?
Yeah, I had the last race I had was actually in Monterey for the last professional race of the year, and now I'm just in my off season, just working, trying to stay fit. I actually have surgery on both my forearms coming up in about 2 weeks, so I'm trying to prepare everything I can for that because I'm going to be down for about 2 weeks after that,
Right.
and yeah, try and recover from that and get next year going.
Are you getting the forearm pump? Is that what it is?
Hmm.
And that's just pure carpal tunnel, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I've been trying to put this surgery off for a long time, and I've tried a million different things like different stretches, yoga, changing my diet, just drinking a shitload of water before I do anything, and definitely things have helped.
Mm.
But long story short, it gets to the point to where like if I have literally anything touching my forearms, even if it's just a shirt, it just locks my hand up. So I'm trying to take care of it.
Yeah, it's tough. I got that from playing video games.
Nice.
And it wasn't even because I was playing video games a lot. It was because I was too cheap ass to buy a proper desk.
Mhm.
So I would have my computer on a dresser drawer and I'd be doing like one of these when I'm playing, right?
Yep.
And that literally doing that for 12 hours a day for like months on end. By the
Mhm.
end of the year, my forearm was on fire.
Yep.
Like I literally couldn't do anything.
Yep.
So I feel your pain. And you're getting both arms.
Yeah, I really only need it in my right arm, but I'm trying to kind of balance things out. And my doctor was saying if you're doing one, you might as well do both and just get it taken care of for everything. So,
What is the surgery like? What do they do exactly?
so it's actually a very small procedure. It's supposed to be about an hour per arm, so not a very long surgery. Recovery time is you can like start using your arms about 2 days after the actual surgery. You can start, getting like resistance bands and weights and stuff after a week. And then I'm planning to be back on a bike after 3 weeks. So it's pretty quick. And then all they do is so for me, they're actually going to go in the bottom and the top of the forearm. But normally you go in the top of the forearm and there's like, I imagine it as a fishnet. It's like a fishnet that wraps around your forearm muscle. And as your forearm muscle grows, that fishnet does not. That stays the same. So as your
Mm.
forearm gets stronger, it's that fishnet's like squeezing in more and more and more and more and more. And that's where you get that arm pump, as they call it. That's where your arm feels like it's just locking up and you can't really do anything with it. So all they do is they pretty much just cut back that fishnet, so to say, and it just frees up that muscle and lets it, you know, I like to say it lets it breathe. It just gives it some space to kind of move around and do its thing. That way, you're not getting constricted blood flow, and you can actually feel your hands.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah, because that's the what I've heard they do. I wasn't 100% sure. Do they
Mhm.
actually cut it or do they just nick it so that it has a bit more, not stretch, but the ability to stretch infinitesimal amount so that it grows back together, but it grows back with a bit more space?
Yeah, that I'm not sure of. I know my doctor is cutting mine. He's actually going from the bottom to the top of this so-called fishnet and cutting it open. And like you said, it does grow back over time. So it's usually a lot of racers have this surgery like 2 or 3 times over a career.
Mm.
But I don't know if maybe depending on severity, if you could just like, slip it down the middle and then just have a little extra space, or what I'm doing where you cut it and you get a lot more extra space. I'm not really sure.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Neither of us are doctors. Sure, go ahead, doc. Do whatever you need. Um, Back to racing. I know you're in your off season. You're about to do surgery. Cool. Why are you so fast on Button Willow?
I really like Button Willow. I don't know why. For some reason, for the longest time, I just always crashed at Button Willow. I would always do something stupid and I'd freaking wad myself. And then it seemed like 2 years ago, something finally just clicked and I finally understood how to ride that track fast. And ever since then, I've just been trying to tick away and progress myself and progress the bikes that I've been riding. And yeah, we've gotten to a good pace now, but there's still more to be had.
Yeah. Do you still get that adrenaline dump when you're fighting for the podium, or is it now kind of like, okay, I've done this like 1,000 times, fought for the podium or fought for like the, a good finish,
Mm.
uh, um, versus fighting fires?
I think the adrenaline I get from fighting fires is very different than the adrenaline I get on a motorcycle. On a motorcycle, I think it's more like passion driven and more pressure, pressure from myself and people that support me as far as like Pirelli, which I love them. They're really great people and they help me out a lot. But it's like, look, dude, if you don't win this race, you're off. You're off. Like you're out.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of positive pressure,
Right.
as far as like you gotta get results. So that's more the adrenaline I feel as far as like I want to do well, but I also have to do well. That's what gets me through races. And then for firefighting, it's literally like I want to make sure I don't die.
Mm.
I want to make sure that if I can save, you know, whoever's house is right next to me that's burning down, I'm gonna try my best because obviously they worked their ass off for that house, and there's a lot of backstories and stuff. So when I'm on a fire line, it's a lot more. It's easier for me to continue to put my body through stress than it is for me when I'm racing. Seems like when I'm riding, I have like 45 minutes to an hour where I can really push myself, and then after that, I struggle. Um, and then on fire lines, it's like you can be going for 48 hours, and then granted, when you're done, you just absolutely crash.
Right.
But it just seems like time flies when you're on the line. You're just going, 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 going.
It feels like talking to you in the brief time that we've spoken, you are very pressure driven. I don't know how to say that nicely. Is
No,
that you thrive on having pressure in
mm,
order to perform. Is that true?
no, yeah. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself. I like to be the best I can be at whatever it is. There's nothing I do in my life that I don't want to say I don't do anything half-assed, but like if I'm gonna actually devote time to it, I want to be good at it. So for myself, that pressure of not being okay with just being in like second place or not being okay with like just being in the background, I want to do everything and anything I can and be good at it. So that's where I find my motivation, and that's really what wakes me up in the morning every day.
Yeah, because now that, definitely for me, I'm exactly that way. You
Mm-hmm.
give me a long ass timeline, forget about it. Nothing will ever get done.
Mm-hmm.
I in my not now, but maybe before COVID for sure, right? I had one of the most stressful job in the company in my mind. Okay, don't tell people that I don't say that, but no, because one of my primary roles at my current company is making sure we have fantastic demos when we go to trade shows,
Gotcha.
right? And there's a whole series of things that no one ever notices, no one ever cares about that, but that no one thinks about when you get it right.
Mm-hmm.
But the second it doesn't go well, there's only one person to blame, right?
Yeah.
It's me and,
Yep.
and my team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and when I talk to a lot of coworkers, they're like, "You've got the crappiest job in this company because like there's no one thanks you at the end of it, right? And you are the only guy that gets blamed if anything was to happen, right? And I've had people, give me death stares, threaten to fire me because it hasn't gone well, and I'm like, well, you got to just give me time to fix. I can fix it on the showroom floor, right? That's why we get to the show an hour early every morning, so that if I turn on the system and nothing works, I've got time to troubleshoot, right? So
Yeah.
I work very well under pressure in that regard. And so it's great to hear that I'm not the only psycho out there. Because like literally the reason why I'm doing the job that I'm doing at work for this trade show thingy is no one in the company would do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally after the XCO left, everybody's like, I don't want to be involved. And so on, I'm like, well, no one else is doing it. It needs to be done.
Yeah.
So I'll try to help.
Yeah, there you go. I respect that. You get a lot of, like you said, it kind of sucks when you might not get appreciated as much as you deserve to be. But as far as looking at your own work and being like, oh, I made that happen. Like this show succeeded. Not only because of what you did, but a lot of what you did had a direct outcome on how everything went. So that's pretty badass in my book.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I do it because I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a cocky thing to say, I bet you think I can't do it, and I'm going to prove you wrong. Now, nobody's telling me that. It's just me messing my own head, saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. It's going to be good, and I don't care what anybody else says, right?
Oh
And
no,
so,
I totally feel that. Oh
and,
yeah.
and that's what drives you as well, right? Is like I will do it because I want to be good.
Oh yeah, no, that's the same. Everybody has struggles. Everybody has something that might not be perfect or might not be the way they want it to be. And for me, it's my hearing. Like I'm legally deaf, so I wear hearing aids and all that stuff. And nobody knew for the longest time. Like I couldn't. It didn't really register to a lot of people. But like I couldn't speak any language until I was like 6 years old, just because I couldn't hear anything that was going on. So I would just like speak gibberish and do sign language. That was my way of communicating. Then finally got hearing aids, and then everything just went like whoop, and my world opened. And I just remember so many people when I was growing up in like special ed classes and stuff. They're like, oh, like you just gotta like get through today and like don't worry about tomorrow. I'll just get through today and like make the most out of what you got. And it's like, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. But there's so much more to life than just like living with what you have. And like you can go out there and like you were saying, like there's always opportunities, and maybe people don't want to do them for whatever reason, but just because you might not have the perfect shot at it doesn't mean you can't try to be your best at it. And yeah, you can always make anything happen.
Yeah, that's crazy. I couldn't tell from my vantage point that you have hearing aids. That's kind of pretty cool. And but are you able like so now that I'm thinking about it, like are they special hearing aids? I don't know anything about that world, obviously. Sound like a moron, but
No, you're good. I remember when I was in eighth grade, I had a very nice pair of hearing aids that were very expensive, and I'm thankful I was able to have my family and myself. We all pitched in, and that was nice to have. But I remember they had like Bluetooth, and I could like listen to music if I wanted to. Those were awesome. Those were badass hearing aids. But normally I just have like Amazon, you know, Best Buy hearing aids, just because A, they're cheap, and if I lose or break them, I don't really care. And B, a lot of times I'm in environments where I don't really want to hear shit. Like I hate ceiling fans. I hate AC like compressors, having to listen to those. Or like what we were talking about earlier with the electric bikes and stuff. When I don't have my hearing aids in, I don't hear cars. So having like a car drive by me on the freeway with my hearing aid in is one of the most annoying things in the world.
huh.
So I like my world quiet, and I think you're kind of the same way. I don't like a lot of excess noise if I don't have to have it. So 90% of the time, I don't wear my hearing aids. Obviously, if I'm in a conversation like this, I do, or legally when I'm in the fire department when I'm firefighting, I have to. But like at racetracks, I don't. When I'm just chilling at home, I don't. If I go out to dinner, I don't usually wear my hearing aids. It's just like little stuff like that.
Yeah, because I was gonna make funny and say, you know what, you've saved 30 cents at every race. You don't got to put in earplugs.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I'm like, should I say this and get risk getting punched in the face? But we're so far away. He's not gonna hurt me. But yeah, no, yeah, I like working in a quiet environment, and even when I'm doing stuff around the house, I'm fixing stuff. More often than not now, I like putting a pair of ANC headphones just so I can drown out all the BS noise. In fact, when I drive now and when I drive my non-electric car, even in my electric car, I like putting on those headphones. Just to have the ANCs just cancel the noise and just be in that quiet bubble. For me, it's very zen. Is actually it's pretty nice.
No, for sure. For sure. I think you can get a lot of, I don't want to say you can get like a lot of thinking done. You can think anytime, but it's a really easy way to kind of zone out. And for me, it's like a way to de stress if you have a lot of things going on in your life and a lot of things going on in your head. Just kind of taking that step away and getting away from not only distractions, but just random noises. White noise for me drives me crazy. And that always helps to kind of get away from that and just be in your own bubble.
Yeah. You've got a lot of stuff going on, you got a lot of career, but no one's ever satisfied. And everybody's got the next level. What's your next level? What is the next thing that's going to make you wake up in the morning and go, yeah,
Uh,
did it?
Man, I think the next thing that I'm working on right now is um, I unfortunately I can't really say the company right now, but it's a brand that I trust with my life, literally. And it's a brand that a lot of people who are outdoorsy, or a lot of people who are tactical, who like that side of life, will all recognize and know. And for me, I'm trying to get involved in that company, as far as just trying to promote them and
Mm.
be more involved with what they do, and product development and PR research and stuff like that. That to me is a job I'm really trying to get. And obviously, I want to be my firefighting stuff. That's my career goal. But
Mm.
just my next step as a person is to be involved with this company, and it's something I really want and I'm trying to make happen. So I'm excited to see how it goes.
Oh, that sounds super exciting. I like that. I am not I'm a lazy person in real life. I'm not gonna lie.
That's okay.
Um, but I'm like you. I hate being stagnant.
Mhm.
Like I hate sitting there going, okay, well, I've got nothing to do. I'm fine with relaxing. I'm fine with going, okay, there's a Netflix show I want to watch. There's
Mhm.
a TV series that I want to catch up on.
Mhm.
But I plan for that. I'm like, okay, this is my 1 hour of doing nothing and watching TV
Yep.
with the wifey, right?
Mhm.
So I am not a I'm not good at just sitting around staring at the ceiling going, okay, I'm content. That's not
No,
me.
no, I totally feel it. Like for me, I have my work days from like 5 a.m. to like 7 is like my work time. Granted, I might not be working that whole time, but that's like I devote every day to work for that amount of time. And then pretty much anything from 7:30 until 10, like I'm I'm done. Usually I'm in bed by 9:15, and I just kind of sit there, or I'll listen to music maybe, or I'm making dinner. Like that's my time. And I don't really think that's being lazy. It's like you said, it's not only relaxing, but taking a step back and being like,
Yeah.
okay, well, not everything has to be go, 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 go. You can still get stuff done and be more, zen.
Okay, we'll end it on a very, very silly note with one last question. You just said you cooked. What is your favorite go-to recipe? Do you have one?
Oh, dude, chicken and rice all day, every day. That's literally, I actually tell this a lot. Like, I'm really good at cooking the same thing.
Mm,
And like, I'm pretty much, my rice cooker is always going. I always have chicken or some type of protein, whether it's red meat or chicken or seafood or whatever it is. I always have something like that in the fridge.
yeah.
So, man, it's a lot of rice and protein.
A lot of rice. Hey man, you're talking to a Chinese guy, so yeah, I'm down with the rice, with the rice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Is there a special recipe that you can share? I'm always looking for something, try something new.
Oh, so I lean more towards the sweet things than the savory things. I mean, I like both, but normally when I cook, they end up being sweet. So what I have found, and this is kind of like a homemade thing that I don't know if it works. Everybody works for me,
Yeah.
but I love coconut oil. So when I'm cooking, I pretty much only use coconut oil. And getting some chicken, like steaming up the chicken with a little bit of coconut oil, a little bit of brown sugar, cinnamon, a little bit of honey, and then in the end, you a little bit of like sea salt to
Right.
have that like little bit of sweet tanginess to the chicken, and the rice is.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I'll give you one of my favorite go-to these days.
Mm-hmm.
It's chicken wings. First of all, I'm a big fan of wings for whatever reason. I just had them tonight. Um, yeah, I had them tonight. It's soy sauce, right? Just regular soy sauce. You don't get fancy. Just soy sauce, wasabi. Okay, and you don't have to put too much if you don't like it, but just enough you can smell it. That's amazing. A little bit of sesame oil and bit of salt and pepper to taste. If you want, you can put in a teaspoon of sugar if you'd like, brown sugar, white sugar. I like putting in sugar substitute with erythritol,
Nice.
right? But you mix it up and you marinate it for 12 hours and you just put it in the oven and you're good to go. It's actually
That's
pretty good.
awesome.
Yeah. All right, dude. How do we follow you on all your social media?
So Instagram is juribe36. That's by far my most active social media outlet. And besides that, I'm on Facebook just at Jayson Uribe, Twitter at Jayson Uribe. But like I said, Instagram is by far my most active stuff.
I say this to everybody. I go, you're way too young to be on Facebook. Don't even bother. Save the Facebook for old guys like me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And then your website is jasonuribe.com.
Correct.
Okay. All right, cool, man. Hey, dude, thanks so much for taking the time to speaking with me again.
Thank you,
And I
sir.
appreciate it. All right. We'll talk to you soon.